Karibuni sana dadas all over Kenya and East Africa. We are so glad you joined us on KBC Channel 1, 4 p.m. You are watching the Dada's show. In this show, it's all about you. It's all about women issues. It's brought to you by a woman, thankfully, thank God. And we always bring you stories about other women. Today, I am joined by Cosby. Such a nice name.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's such a nice name. Cosby, pretty.
Chamwona.
Chamwona.
Yes.
That's a wonderful name.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Well, most importantly, oh my God, a firstborn of 2.
Yes.
What else?
Yeah, what else? You don't have a 5-minute elevator pitch.
Which is?
That the one when you're going to meet the president of Kenya, you're in the elevator. And then you're just going up and you have 5 seconds. You just go like, my name is Pretty. You don't have that one?
I don't have it because normally I was defining myself by what I did in campus and what I've been through and what my family looks like. Okay. I've decided to change that.
Okay.
Now I'm identifying myself using adjectives.
Oh, wow.
Of where I want to be.
Okay, so give us 2 adjectives.
I am love, I am forgiveness.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So, Cosby, I wanted to ask you, tell us a bit about your upbringing. Where did you grow up? Mm-hmm. What was your family like?
I grew up in Nairobi, multiple areas of Nairobi. I can't really pinpoint one place.
So you moved a lot?
We moved a lot, okay. Yes. I have 2 parents who are very much alive and a lot of stepmothers. Okay,
so yes. You grew up in a polygamous home?
I wouldn't say polygamous, because in polygamous settings, there's a responsible man taking care of multiple women.
Okay. So your father had what, mistresses?
Yes.
Mpango wa kando?
Yes. Okay. And I cannot pinpoint whether my mother was a wife or a mistress or whatever, because according to him, he'd define a wife by somebody he slept with or has had a child with and has paid dowry. But I feel like a husband is way more than that. Mm-hmm. A husband is a protector, a husband is a provider, you're a priest to your family, right? And if you've come short of any of those, you are not to be defined as a husband or a father. Okay. So no.
So your father was a busy man?
Very busy.
Because yes. he had a lot of,
not only of children.
He had a lot of children, he had a lot of wives.
Women, yes.
He had to work. You said he had 2 jobs. So he was a busy man.
He was very busy. I don't remember him in most of my childhood, if I can say. But the little I know about him is that he was a good father. In terms of trying to create relationship with his children who he's with at the time. So like if he's with your mother between 2013 and 2015, you'll really feel his presence and his love and his affection, because he's very verbal and touchy with his affection, which gives a child some sort of confidence and security, which I feel like as much as I've been through a lot, that has helped me. Yeah. You know, when he was
there, he was big, larger than life.
Yes.
He was loving.
Absolutely.
But then he wasn't there enough.
When he's not there now, he's not there completely. You won't see him for years at a time, or he will let a woman mistreat you because he's dating her. He will not defend you. For me, these are forms of absence. Yeah. If you were not a father to me at any point, you were absent.
Your mom was also quite busy doing life.
My mom was, I remember her going to work and coming back almost every day. I think every day, consistently. But she might as well have not been there because she was busy with her husband, fighting him or other women. Yeah. It had to be someone.
So you told me that your home was pretty chaotic.
Absolutely. We always had relatives in the house. Cousins, and you know, in our culture is Western, Luo and Luya. In our culture, there's no cousin, there's no auntie, there's no uncle. Everyone is
a brother.
Mom, dad, brother, sister. There is no, you know, so I'm not even clear who was our relative and who wasn't. Okay. Some of it I discovered last year at a funeral. Oh, this is my uncle, okay. Some of them were neighbors, but they're still being referred to as relatives, you know, for the sake of oneness, you know.
Okay.
Yes, so there were so many male relatives in the house at a time. That's according to my memory, yes.
So that's a very, very scary picture when you think about it for a child, because you have multiple people coming in and out.
Yes.
Your father is not present. Your mother
is not present.
Not physically. She's physically present, but emotionally completely gone.
Absolutely.
And there are people coming in and out.
Yes.
So it creates a very good situation for predators.
Absolutely.
So when did people begin to predate on you?
I think the first time I was 6. That is, I'm not quite sure, but
6 years old.
yes.
A relative.
Relatives
Okay.
with an S.
Relatives.
Yes.
So it was. Did they raped you several times, or it went on for a long time?
It
or
went
what
on
happened?
for so many years.
Okay.
Because I can't quite recall who did what when. But as I said earlier, I can only remember the houses.
Yes.
You know.
So you remember this house, and then you remember
this
the relative.
happened. No, I can't remember I know the relatives.
Yeah.
I know all of them.
Okay.
But I can't tell you this one was the first, this one was the last.
Yeah.
This one. I just recall the ones that happened in later years of my life.
Okay.
Yes.
But there were some that stuck with you. You had shared with me. What are the ones that stuck with you?
Well, there's one scent that never went away.
Yeah.
I can't forget what he smelled like. That has stuck with me.
Okay.
I guess I was probably younger than 6, and my mind is protecting me, I guess. After that childhood period, the next one I remember clearly was one that happened when I was 12 years old in a day school. So, like for the entire first term of 2004, this girl would take me to the washroom at break time without fail every day and do to me whatever she wanted. And as usual, I would, you know, shrink, not defend myself. I would stay quiet. I would actually stay still. She would do whatever she wants. I would stay still until she gives a command. Open your legs and open. Open your, you know, let me do this, you know. The next one that happened after that was roughly a year and some months later, when now I was in boarding school. A girl came into my bed, again, did whatever she wanted, and I couldn't move. You know, I just turned into this 6-year-old again. I froze, you know. The one I can say was most turbulent, and I felt so betrayed, happened when I was 15. Earlier that year, just turned 15, my birthday is in January, so a few weeks after my birthday it started, you know, and it went on for some time. This was somebody I trusted and regarded as a friend. It was a family member, but I regarded this person as a friend. We were very close, we would talk a lot. I guess he interpreted that into me having romantic feelings for him or whatever his head told me, you know. And for some reason, he told himself that I am woman enough to satisfy his needs, you know. I even remember he had a name for my boobs. And
It's okay, take your time.
And we used to live a bit outside Nairobi when you're on your way to Ruai, so my parents used to leave very early in the morning. And immediately I'd hear the car leaving. I'd like breathe as if I'm now about to do my job. Yeah, because I had told myself that it's my job to fulfill a man's desires. You know, my body was there for them, you know, and I'm supposed to do what they want. If not, there were consequences. I don't know what these consequences were, but my mind was telling me I have to do it and I cannot tell anyone, you know. Yeah. So after a few weeks before I was admitted to Form 1, he decided now to come with his friends. And I remember I didn't know what was happening. And when I saw his friends, I was so relieved because I was like, today it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So he locks me in a room. I'm still relieved. And then, you know, the friends start coming in one by one, coming out saying the way it was nice. I think they gave me a birth control pill after that, because I remember taking something.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I was so numb, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel pain, emotionally, physically. I don't even remember what was going on in the house. But I recall almost every night my parents used to fight, I guess, you know. And I think if my cousin would hear this, she would say she tried to talk to me about it.
Mm.
But I was just listening to her as if I'm not there. At this point, I was so absent.
Mm. Perhaps you decided to
Not
help yourself by physically leaving your body.
I think I left my body.
To another part of the world.
Yes.
Your brain decided to switch off and
my
go
brain
somewhere.
did switch off.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have feelings, I became so narcissistic. I didn't care. Literally, I didn't care about anything. What you think about me, what you say about me, what you say to me, I can't even hear. What you feel is not important.
Mm.
Because first of all, I'm not even paying attention to what I'm feeling, so nothing else mattered. The epitome of betrayal came on the first visiting day in high school, when my parents came. And the first conversation I had was with my mother at the back of the car, I think. I don't know, it was just some hidden place. Mm. She asked me, "Are you pregnant?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I didn't even know that sex can make me pregnant. Yani, we had learned it in school fine, but I didn't have.
But then your reality had been so different.
Yes,
if you think about it, from 6, your reality was very different from what was taught in class.
Absolutely, I was detached. I was reading and passing because, again, I have to prove myself that I am of value. So I don't even know. I was like, what does she mean I'm pregnant? How does it work by this pregnancy thing? Am I supposed to be pregnant? Is it wrong? I was absolutely confused throughout that conversation.
So she accused you of, what did she accuse you of?
Prostitution and seducing the male relative.
Okay.
Because the person who reported it as though it was an affair. Did not report it as if it was exactly what it was. Nobody asked me anything. So they made a decision now, as a family, the best thing is to remove the seductress from the helpless male, and took me to an alternative location where I cannot continue my things or whatever it is they were telling themselves was going on. Yes.
It's terrible. I don't even know. I mean, this is heavy. It's heavy. Even the air in the room is heavy. Listening to this story. This then moved on to the first time, like your dating experience. Again, somebody raped you.
Yes, I went on a date, unaware absolutely of what that should look like, of course, because I don't have a model of what a man should treat me. So anyone who's giving me attention was welcome, whether you're a chokora or you're a billionaire, you just come. Here it's free. People come in and out. You want? Tell me I'm coming, you know? And I remember advice that I was given by one of my stepmoms. If a man calls you to his house, don't go unless you're ready to have sex. I was ready to have sex, so I went, you know, because I was like, sex was not a big deal at this point. But then I got to this location and I started feeling unsafe. And instead of listening to my gut and turning around and going back home, I went anyway. When I got there, there was no conversation. Nothing.
There was no date.
Nothing. No date. What do you mean date? I said, you've come to my house, Konyu, what do you expect? So he like pounces on me and start doing things to me, and I was resisting. This time, I was vocal about it and very physical because I was very big. I was very physical about telling him to move away from me. But he was very persistent. And then now the 6-year-old came back.
Yeah, your 6-year-old just decided whatever.
You know what? Okay, suit yourself. When you're done, let me know. I'll go home.
What was your turning point? What happened for you to begin thinking that this isn't right? Something is wrong with this picture. What happened to you that you decided, okay, something has to give?
I was attracting a certain type of people into my life, whether it's friends or romantic partners, people who take advantage of me in any way. Yeah, people who take a lot from me without reciprocating. Also very abusive people who gaslight me.
What's gaslight?
Gaslighting.
I like that word, but I don't know what it is.
It means somebody is making you question your own mental health. Like somebody can tell a story in public about something that didn't happen and ask you, Konyu, you don't remember?
Or somebody is trying to make you look like a mental.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make you believe you are crazy, not even necessarily in front of people, you know. So this person will question things that make you you.
Yeah.
Okay? And use words to try to make you behave in a way that suits them.
Yeah.
First, you'll question your character. Second, you'll question your cognitive function. Third, you'll question your memory, your concentration, you know. Like in the middle of a conversation, they'd be like, why are you looking at me like that? Can you even hear me? You know you have concentration issues. You remember even that? Then they give a story that never happened. Then you'll be like, which day? You see, now this girl has such a bad memory. Now they're declaring it to different people. And words have so much power. So you'll go questioning, when did this happen?
Honest,
How drunk was I?
If you hear, have you ever noticed that people, especially if they're in authority, keep repeating something about you?
Yes.
Like they keep telling you are a loose woman.
Yes.
Over time, you actually believe it.
And you do it. You will live
and you
up
begin
to
to live up to that
Yes.
expectation because people have said something about you.
Absolutely. In fact, I look at it in this way. When I'm molested, okay, I'll view myself as a victim at the time that it happens. But when I report it to an authority figure who then says it's my fault and I'm a prostitute, then that teaches me to be very attentive to what people say because they are right and I'm wrong. So it's easy for someone to gaslight somebody like me. Because
of your vulnerability, you seem to attract, like you told me before that it's like you have a sign on your head.
Yeah, I'm a victim. I keep on attracting predators. Predators, people who want to control me, people who want something I have, you know, people who just want to take, you know. Just take something, even if it's just my word, just take it, you know. And I think predators do recognize victims very quickly. And that's the problem with being a victim even once. If you don't heal from it, you are going to be a victim forever, especially if you believe you're a victim. Because you attract who you are and you only get what you expect. And as a victim, you will keep on expecting predators, and that's exactly what you're going to get. I think that's what life was like for me for a very long time.
How do you feel? What impact do you think other things that happened to you besides attracting the wrong people from your past that you feel this is baggage that you carried over that you're still having to deal with?
Struggling to understand the difference between sex and love, because in a very neglectful environment, the first person who paid attention to me had sex with me. So my mind sometimes confuses sex and love. If somebody wants to have sex with me, I might think that they love me, you know. And I've really struggled to redefine my idea of how I want to be loved now in a healthy way.
Okay.
That's the one thing that I think almost killed me this year, actually.
Okay.
because I confused sex with love. You know.
Why did you almost die?
Whew. I got in a relationship with a very emotionally abusive person. And I did not know that I was in an emotionally abusive situation. I was just very sad all the time. I was depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to receive any phone call from anyone but this person. I became emotionally dependent on this person. Okay, so whatever they say about me is gospel. You know what I mean? When you're emotionally dependent on somebody, what they say about you becomes very important. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my sole goal in life becomes to satisfy this person. And if this person is sadistic and everything they say about you is negative, you see how that now pulls you down. This person attacked everything that makes me me. Everything I've struggled to build, my mental health, my character, my values, even something as simple as keeping time and planning myself. This person is telling me, you plan too much, stop. You should just go with the flow. You know what I mean? Then now this goes on to disorganize my finances, my time management, my relationships with friends. Everybody becomes bad now. This person was isolating me, and I had no idea it was happening. And this person has been also through a lot of traumas. So I was telling myself that since this person has been through so many traumas, they're going to love me because they understand, you know. But then it didn't work like that.
Yeah.
The thing we don't know is when you tell someone about your traumas, you're teaching them how they can hurt you. I told her one of the things I've never told anyone about my parent, my mom. She's very passive-aggressive. You know, that's very emotionally abusive to a child.
What does that mean?
Passive-aggressive. She can go quiet and not talk to you for days, ignore you like you're not there because she's mad at you, instead of communicating directly. You know, ignore your needs as a form of punishment for something you've done. I shared this information with this person, and this person literally started doing the same thing to me almost immediately. You know, silent treatment for no reason. We've argued over a fly, and you just ghost me for like 3 days and come back when you feel like, just because I didn't do something your way. You understand? Yeah. So it got to a
basically
point,
became sort of, you went into a state of depression.
Absolutely. And I did not know until I came out of it. So I would sleep and not want to wake up. I wouldn't want to shower. Suicide was not a big deal anymore. It was in fact a way out. I even said, if this corona thing is real, let me go out and get it so that we can end this thing once and for all. I was tired. I felt like an inconvenience, first of all, like I don't matter. Like even if I go, will miss me. Who cares, you know? And I went out. I went out so many times. I'd make sure wherever there's a gathering, I'm there. So that if somebody has it, anipatie. That was my strategy. Then now I devised another strategy. I'm going to sleep around in this town. They will see. And then at some point I realized I was giving out myself and hurting myself. Because sexual sin is really a sin against myself. I felt like, how am I different from anyone who's ever violated me if I'm doing the same thing to myself? So I just stopped and I said, you know what, no, you know.
So you've been very angry.
Absolutely.
And I had asked you this question before. You said you suffered from serious rage. Who are you most angry with today?
My parents.
Your parents, you're most angry with them.
My mom and dad, yes.
Why are you very angry with them?
Because they were too busy with their own things to parent. I don't feel like they knew why they wanted kids. I feel like they didn't want kids, we just happened. And they were very honest with their actions.
Yeah.
Sometimes my mom carelessly with her words.
Yeah.
About not wanting us.
you told me before that the way they treated you is what gave other people permission to treat you badly.
Of course.
Yeah.
People will treat you the way you treat yourself, treat yours the way you treat it. If somebody comes in a home where children don't matter, they will find it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
If you are unloved, somebody will lure you with whatever it is they know how to give. And maybe even the rapists, that's all they knew how to give.
Yeah. Maybe that's
they're
all they
also
had.
victims. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're also victims.
Yeah. So why are you coming out with this story? I think before we go into a break, I really did want you to share with people, because I know this is a very personal, very intimate story, and this is the first time you're actually coming onto a national platform to share it. Why are you doing that?
I want somebody to watch it and know they're not alone. I want to encourage rape victims, male and female, to speak up, because perpetrators are cowards. And if they hear somebody shouting and screaming, you did this, they're going to stop in their tracks. You could save a child's life by speaking up, you know. I also want somebody to heal.
Okay.
Somebody who has come from neglect. You are being affected by any childhood traumas. Recognize how it is showing up in your adult life and deal with it. Because if you don't, you'll keep attracting it over and over again in the form of relationships, friendships, jobs even. Yeah.
We're going into a break. We'll be right back. We'll be joined by a clinical psychologist, Dr. Sheila. She's coming to join us. Yeah, don't go too far. We are back, and we've been talking about rape. I don't even know whether to call it rape, but it's rape, incest, and other things. And as I promised, we are joined by Dr. Sheila Konyu. Karibu Daktari.
Thank you.
You're a clinical psychologist. What does that mean? It's a big name.
That's a big name. Well, a clinical psychologist is somebody who is specialized in dealing with mental illnesses. And so you're able to consult somebody who's going through different kind of mental illnesses, and there are a whole different range of them. There are some that are mood related, so like depression, anxiety, bipolar, and then there are those that are thought related, like schizophrenia. And then there are also like substance abuse disorders, there are personality disorders, so a whole range. So a clinical psychologist is able to support people as they are navigating different aspects of their mental health and mental illness.
Okay. Daktari, you listened to the show Offset, the whole show Offset, and you listened to Cosby. What did you think?
Yeah, I was able to listen to Cosby, and the thing that struck me is, first of all, the courage to tell her story, so that she's able to come and be able to support other people who have been through what she's been through, to know that they are not alone. And I find that that's just very courageous and very powerful. So I think for the sake of the many who will, see and not feel alone, I really found that just very commendable for her to be able to share her story. But I also had a lot of pain, pain from, just multiple layers of being taken advantage of. And that pain has, kind of morphed into, relationships that she was describing as not being the most healthy, relationships where she's not looking out for herself. And so just thinking about how those experiences kind of shape the choices that we make later on in life, and the importance of us actually getting the help and the healing that we need, so that we don't continue to make those wrong choices in the future.
I think one of the things that struck me, Daktari, is that if you are raped early, you're more likely to normalize sexual behavior, and you're more likely to take sex rather casually, because that's what you said, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It becomes something equivalent to a grating, for lack of a better word. You don't value yourself enough to know what it is that you're giving up when you sleep with someone.
Yeah.
You underestimate the bond that happens when two people sleep together. You don't, even protect yourself from somebody who might harm you emotionally or even physically.
So it seemed to me, Daktari, that when you've been sexually raped constantly for a long time, you seem to normalize sex. You seem to sort of think sex is like going to the kiosk and buying a loaf of bread. Isn't that what?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's easy for me to underestimate the bond that comes from sleeping with someone, of how much of myself I'm giving up, or even the amount of violation that I'm doing to my own body. I'm likely to underestimate it. Yeah, it's not a big deal. We can do it the first night, the first 5 minutes. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Yes.
We live in a let me finish the question. We live in a generation where I come from a generation where sex was a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, even if a guy was to Konyu, I mean, he had to put on a show for quite a while, to get the goods. Today, I see people just, they walk up to someone, let's do it, let's do it, blah, blah, and then it's over and they walk away. Yeah. Could it be that a lot of people have gone through such experiences and we don't know? That's what I just thought.
Yeah, it's definitely possible for sex to become so casual and lose the sacredness or the meaning and the kind of bond that it's supposed to be, especially when it's done within the institution of marriage. That's what it was created for. I think Cosby talked about something very powerful about confusing sex for love. That the first person who showed her attention, the first person who, showed her that they are caring and interested in her, ended up then taking advantage of her, and no wonder the lines were blurred. And so a lot of times that's what happens. Here you are, she's talking about being 6 years old, being a child who needs caring and protection, and so not really having those needs met, and then you find the first person who is even paying attention to you, is even affirming you, is even seeing you, then now twists that and not just sees you, but now sees you as a sexual object, and they take advantage of you. And that can really warp you, especially when it's done at such a young age. So then now you start, because you're hungry for this love and affirmation, but you feel like the only way that you can get that is if you also get it through sexual activity. And you see, the thing with sex is, sex in itself is something that's pleasurable. The way we were created as, God put parts of our bodies that feel something pleasurable. So the pleasure itself can also, how do I put it, like, you can use it to numb the pain. So sometimes it can give you a high. It's almost like a drug of some kind. It gives you a high that can make you almost forget a bit about some of the pain. And so sometimes we can use now the sex to numb the pain of the things that we've been through. And so it just becomes a physical thing that maybe the pleasure is very little, but then eventually it leaves you feeling empty. It leaves you feeling like you've given a part of yourself, and leaves you even feeling more depleted, because this person has known you so intimately and then has not guarded the intimacy that they've seen, and so you even feel more violated because you're left feeling a lot more empty.
Like something has been taken from you every time.
While I was preparing for this show, I researched Daktari, and I learned that a lot of the people who end up in the sex industry, like maybe it's because in Kenya we are not there yet, but a lot of people, especially in the West, who end up working in the sex industry, in pornography, as prostitutes, come from places where especially they were abused, or where sex was normalized, a lot of normalization of sex, and they actually work in the industry because for them that is where they get love, they get affection,
acceptance.
They get acceptance. And because of the breakdown of the family, now we are seeing so many families. Parents are too busy. Parents are busy. They wake up every morning. she said something interesting. They live near Rai. Her parents would leave very early in the morning and come back very late. And when parents are not leaving to go and work, when they come home, they're preoccupied. Today they may not be fighting, but they're preoccupied on their phones. They are not involved. I mean, you could as well be
dead. Just say it. Yeah.
Like parents removed themselves from the situation. And I think we all hope that it all goes well somehow. What do you say to that?
Yeah, no, you have to realize that this, sexual activities or this kind of culture does not happen in a vacuum, right? There's a lot of societal pressures. So on one hand, I empathize with parents. There are so many pressures. Here is a parent trying to wake up and go and meet the needs of the family, and times are hard, and they're really trying to be there physically for the physical needs of their child. But on the other hand, our children need more than just the physical. It's more than just about the food, putting food on the table. It's more than just about paying the school fees. They need you there emotionally. And sometimes we are not very attentive to the emotional needs of our children. And we need to think about how am I filling up the emotional reservoir so that they are not vulnerable to these predators who come and give them a little inch of attention, and they feel like my heart is so starved, so that any little attention I get, because I've not gotten it within the family setup, within the home setup, then I become vulnerable to anyone who will give me a little something, and so we need to, and one of the ways to invest emotionally is time. Taking time with your children, taking time to understand what are you thinking, how are you feeling, how are you doing, right? Because we're talking about even going to, day school, and this thing is happening to her by another student. Who is she coming home to tell, right?
No
Does
one.
she have anyone to come and say, Mommy, my day was like this, right? And so you carry this burden on your own. So do we know when our children come, do we give space for them to figure out, to be able to express, how was your day? Are we attentive to find out, is anything different?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Is there like something you can tell parents to watch out for? Your child has changed suddenly. Why? Like me, my grades dropped immediately. My grades dropped immediately. I remember pretty well, and that's why I'm able to tell you I was 6, I was 7, because I remember my grades. They were the one way I felt validated each time I'd receive a prize, or my father would be proud of me. My grades were the one thing. And now when they dropped, I just felt like my value has completely been undermined. And they never went up again all the way back at uni. It was just average nonsense, basically. I knew I could do better, but I just couldn't. I don't understand why sometimes.
No, I think that's a very excellent point you brought up, Cosby. Because those are, you see, with kids, sometimes they may not have a language to express what is happening to them, but then it shows up in behavioral things, right? So like grades suddenly dropping or going different, or them not wanting to go to school. As a parent, you should be like, what is happening? How come so-and-so likes going to school, but now suddenly they don't want to go. We need to not just be quick, go to school, no, maybe they're trying to communicate. Or even they're not sleeping, they're having nightmares, right? They're struggling, sleep patterns, or they are in the morning they don't want to wake up, and it's not just that waking up of that laziness of asubuhi. It's more like they don't want to face the day. Also eating, how is their eating pattern? Are they eating food, or are they refusing to? They stop eating, or even overeating, right? In terms of social interaction, are they wanting to hang out with other people, or have you found they've suddenly isolated themselves, right? Those are all things that should be, ringing a bell like, hey, something is happening or something is changing with my child, right? But those are things you pick up as you spend time, as you get to know this is the normal routine of my child, and now they're not following that normal routine, what could be happening, right? And then now emotional things. Or another way that even the emotions manifest is aches and pains. I'm having a stomach ache, mommy, a headache, mommy, just physical things, because sometimes our emotional things show up as physically. So for example, think about when you're feeling anxious, you're like, I need to go to the loo.
Yeah.
You know, and you go and
Yeah, I
have a
need to,
long call,
yes.
and you're like, Anna,
Yeah.
well, that's sometimes that nervousness, that anxiety showing up. When people get older, it shows up like in, say, diabetes or hypertension or high blood pressure, right? Because all those things, you're stuffing them in and they're trying to find an outlet, and sometimes that comes out in physical ways.
Okay.
So with the parents, I would say let's be attentive to these changes. And these changes can cue us that something is happening in terms of maybe there could be an abuse going on. Or it could even be some of the ways that you pick up on a mental, some of the warning signs of a mental health issue that could be going on. Those are some of the things that you can look out for.
There's something you told me when we were prepping for the show, which is the pathology of incest and rape in your family. And before I asked Secretary to speak into it, could you explain? Because I think one of the things you said is, one of the reasons you came on this show is because you felt that there's a story in your family, a continued story in your family. And your fear is that unless somebody speaks up and breaks the silence, it will continue. Could you tell us a bit about that? And it's not shaming the family, because many families have these things. And we want to sweep them under the rug. But the problem is we are producing more and more generations of the same type of people.
Yeah. I think essentially, okay, as I declared before, it's a norm. So when it happens, no one is surprised, and no one is, startled enough to take action, if I'm making sense.
Yeah, you are.
If it keeps on happening over and over again, I will feel responsible. Like for me, in my case, I felt it's my responsibility to protect my mom from this information because she's already going through a lot. And if she's been through it, she'll feel responsible, to protect me because I can't handle the information. Same for my younger sibling. If she's been through it, she's unlikely to tell me who exactly did it and when. You know what I mean? Currently, what I can say for my family is there's a silence and a pretense that nothing is going on. And as children, when we meet somewhere, our behaviors are the same. The type of people we attract are the same. It's easy for me and a stepsister who I haven't seen for years. We sit and we converse, and I realize we've been through the same things over and over again. And she says a thing or two that points me back, indicating that it happened to her too, in the family and later on in life. And as I said, victims attract perpetrators every time over and over again. So if she keeps attracting perpetrators who beat her, cheat on her, this goes on to show that we do have the same experience, and we were in the same household sometimes. Because like the bigger the house is, the more siblings we were at a time.
So your father would sort of say all the steps,
not all,
sort of maybe.
Kujeni. He'd sit and decide this one is more important than those ones. You can. You know what I mean? So at some years at a time, we were maybe 5 girls in one house. And I'm sure if I was going through it, so were they, lazima. Because watu ni wale wale. And last year, I got very disturbing information about a grandchild, not a grandchild of mine. I think she refers to me as an aunt. She's been through it by a family member, And I felt so guilty first and ashamed, And the reason now I know how bad shame is that I was too embarrassed to take action. I felt inadequate, if I can put it like that. I felt inadequate, that's why I didn't follow up. But it happened to her, she was underage. I feel like I failed her by not, going ahead with an investigation and getting the person arrested and stuff. I feel like, I don't know what held me back, maybe fear. because also it would force me to face some of my perpetrators again. Yeah. And I don't think I have the strength yet. I don't think I can give what I don't have. Because even if we get the person arrested, now what? What do I tell this child when we are on our way to court? Or I feel like I'm not in a position to give her anything. For example, last year we had a funeral in Ushago, and like 2 or 3 of my perpetrators were there. And one of them literally was coming to say hi to me. And the reason I knew my dad knew is he came between us. Because I was completely shut down. I could not say hi. Oh, I just saw this person coming and I froze, and my dad was standing there. He just came between us and distracted me. He just told me to go and get something somewhere, which got me even angrier because it means he knew.
We hide them, we don't talk about them, we try and pretend they're not happening. The problem with our little family secrets is that they move from generation to generation, we allow our family secrets to take over people's lives. And so that, you hear pastors saying it's a generational curse. In the African tradition, we used to call it, that home has got that issue. How wanakuaga na hiyo kitu. As a clinical psychologist now, you studied these things. What do they actually mean?
Yeah, no, it's true that these secrets are so pervasive in families, and secrets are actually the fuel that makes these things grow, right? So that when one person is violated, they keep it a secret. There, the perpetrator has an opportunity to do something, to do the same thing to someone else and someone else and someone else. So that you find in one family, there is, it happened to the sister, the younger one, the cousins, because we all kept it a secret. And that's why I was saying earlier that the boldness that Cosby has to come and share is so important. And the reality is that exposing this secret has very serious ramifications. And that's why you find that families want to keep it within the family, because if I expose, there are big ramifications. But we have to think about it's our responsibility to protect members of our family, right? And the way that Cosby is talking, the whole rape thing is a legal issue. It's a criminal offense to be able to be taking advantage of somebody. So I won't even speak on the legal aspect because I'm not a lawyer, but then it also has now psychological effects that then manifest within the families. So you find now maybe there's drinking or drunkenness to be able to numb the pain in this family, right? Or there becomes violence because we are trying to, this bitterness and this pain kind of shows up like that. Or maybe it shows up, like I was saying, in these lifestyle diseases, diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure. And I think if we deal with some of those emotional and psychological wounds, we can be able to heal our families. Yeah. And that comes from exposing. And maybe not necessarily exposing within, like a public forum like we're doing. Yeah. This is helpful too. But maybe in the privacy of like going to see a clinician or a psychologist to be able to work through. Because then because the silence keeps the system in place.
There's a system in place.
Right. But when you begin to break the silence, you disorient the system. And that's how somebody is able to break through and break away from that continued cycle of pain. Okay. And so I would encourage, even if no one else in the family wants to say something, you who may be a victim and you're seeing it rampant within your family, you seek the help that you need. Yeah. You go and find the support that you need. You go and work through those pain, and that will help you have the emotional stamina or the boundaries to be able to not tolerate the kind of patterns that keep that secret as a secret. Yeah.
For you've listened to Cosby. What would you I think the flippant thing to do is to tell her just jipe roho. That's what we say in Africa, Daktari. Jipe roho. These things have happened to us. It happens everywhere. It has happened in our family. I think that Cosby, that was your experience with your mom recently. You know, just be strong, you know, whatever.
Yeah, changing the conversation into her.
Yeah.
Now it stops being about me and being a woman sharing to my fellow woman. It becomes about, it's immature to talk about things that have happened. I've been through some things too.
Yeah, even me.
Even me. Life is not easy, you know. Just gather strength and go.
Gather strength and go. And that's what we tell
Yes.
people in Africa.
Yes.
Where we jipe roho, just gather strength as a woman. You've been raped hundreds of times, but hey, be strong.
It has passed.
It has passed. Now look into the future.
Yeah, focus on the future.
Look into the future,
Yes.
you know, and that future for you
Had that
is
a lot.
actually very bleak.
Blurry.
In
yeah.
fact, it's very blurry because
Absolutely.
from where you are, you don't even know what the future looks like.
Even then now you don't
Even
know.
now, you don't know what you're doing.
here, but you're not here.
But you tell people, you know, look into the future,
Yes.
just be strong, go forth, and I don't know what we tell people.
Stop playing victim.
Exactly.
Grow up, you're
Doctor,
not a
what
child.
can she do? Because I'm really happy that she's come out. What can she do?
Yeah, I think she's already doing what she needs to do. One is just recognizing that something is not right.
Yeah.
Right? Taking stock of like, the patterns in the relationship, I'm the common denominator. Right? So something is not right. And then also being aware of those symptoms that she was talking about. You talked about feeling depressed, isolating yourself, wanting to harm yourself, wanting to die, right? That's something that we should take very seriously. And so encouraging you to actually seek the help of a psychologist, a clinician, to be able to sit with you and help you process all that pain, all that trauma. This abuse is not normal, even though it's been normalized within your family or within other homes. That's not how it's supposed to be. And that creates wounds within us, emotional wounds, psychological wounds, and those wounds need healing. And we just, it's like telling somebody who's cancer, you just be strong.
Be strong.
You know,
Yeah,
you don't
keep
tell
working
somebody
until
with
the day
cancer.
you fall down and die.
No.
You know, that's what we tell people.
Exactly. So you need to, just like if somebody has cancer, you'll tell them, go to the hospital, go get chemotherapy, go get radiation, the same way. Our emotions have been wounded. We need to go to hospital or to get healing for those emotions, for those wounds. And they just don't come by being strong and being... Psychologists are trained to be able to help you process that pain so that you stop living your life from that wounded place, right? And I'm not saying that it's going back to that pain is hard, it's painful. But if you find a safe place, a safe person that you can process this with, you can find that you no longer have to live in the shadow of that pain, that you can actually be live more victoriously in your walk, and be a healthier human being, and look at that thing that was supposed to break you. It actually becomes the resilience or the fuel that gives you action to be better in the choices that you're making.
Thank you, Dr. We have to end the show. I wanted to end with a parting shot from you, Cosby. Any parting shot?
Yes, so many.
So many.
Yeah, first of all, to parents, before you have a child, know why you're having a child, and make sure you're capable of giving this child security. It's not just about finances. Even before you sleep with someone, what kind of father will they be? What kind of partner will they be to you? Because that will determine whether you will be able to prevent some of these things from happening. If you're a victim right now, speak up. This perpetrator is a coward. That's why they chose you, because they're stronger than you in a way, okay? Another thing, if it's happened to you, it doesn't matter how long ago, speak up, okay? Because even the Bible says when you call out a demon by its name, ndio inatoka. That is why I decided to speak about it. You can give it a command when you speak about it. But before then, there's really nothing you can do. Last thing I want to say is parents should stop glorifying relatives. Because if Uncle is coming and we are removing the best dishes we have, what are you telling me? If Uncle comes and tells me to remove my panties, I will. Because it's a very important person, I'm glorify sana. I'm very likely to listen to them when they tell me, keep quiet or I will, you know. If my mom is submitting to this man who is not my father, I'm likely to submit to him too. Yes.
Thank you, Cosby. Doctor, I don't have time for a parting shot from you, unless you make it 1 second.
1 second. I would say get help. There's help out there. You don't have to live in this pain on your own. Get the support that you need.
Okay. Dadas, as always, some of these shows are very emotional and they're quite heavy, but we talk about them because it's important that we say these things. I am always so grateful to people like Cosby who come out and say, this is what happened to me, and share their story, because it is because of them that many of you will be healed, many of you will seek help, many of you will blow the family secret. And so I pray that you have a great week and be safe, be strong. Baraka.